Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good stotram. Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Stavaram Jangamam Yaptam Yatkinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darsitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. The first two slokas of Gita Jnanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kraditam Puranam Majje Mahabharatam Advaita-mrita-varshini Bhagavati Ashtajasadhyayini Ambatvam-sandadhami Bhagavad-gite Bhavadveshini. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedaisangapadakrammo Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Jnanavastita Tadgadena Manasa Pasyanti Yam Yogina Yasyam Tam Avidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Suchaha. Hari Om. We discussed the Vishada Yoga, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, and came to the second chapter where Gitopadesa started. So essentially, the Vishada Yoga involves, as I said, Ragam, Shokam, Moham. So Ragam is attachments, and that leads to Shokam, and that leads to Moham, a delusion. And that was Arjuna's problem, and that's our problem. So only it becomes a yoga, the attachments and all becomes a yoga when we recognize the problem. So not that everybody has a Ragam, Shokam and Moham, but if I recognize the problem that I have a problem, that's number one, and that's what Arjuna recognized. The second is recognition that I cannot solve this problem by myself, so I need an assistance. So that is the second requirement. First is recognition of the problem. Second is recognition that I cannot solve the problem by myself. And third is I need a teacher, an appropriate teacher, who can guide me. Because in India, if you go to anybody, everybody will be ready to advise. But you need an advice from a teacher who is capable of giving and who can solve this kind of problems. That's a right teacher. So a right teacher, so who is the right teacher? We always look for who is my guru or what's my guru. It's always a problem. A right teacher is a one who was a right student before. Essentially, he must have learned this Brahma Vidya and himself established in that. So he can be a right teacher provided he knows how to teach. So he has to learn not only the Shastram, but also how to teach that Shastram appropriate to my level. Because if we talk something Sanskrit, I won't understand. So he needs to come down to my level. And I think I am very rational intellect. I think I am very scientific minded. And some of the things don't appeal to me. So he has to come to my level and uplift me from that level. Then only he is the right teacher for me. And the right teacher is one who directs the disciple to the scriptures as authority. So these are the ingredients of a right teacher. He doesn't say, I am the authority. So he says, scriptures say so. And what I am teaching is based on the scriptural knowledge. That's why he is Shrotriya. That means he himself heard the Shrutis from his teacher. So that's the right teacher. And the first teacher is Lord himself. And we are learning. Arjuna is fortunate enough, he is learning directly from the Lord. So Narayane Swayam, right? So Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayane Swayam. He himself is teaching here in the form of Krishna. So he is a Jagat Guru himself. And so through Arjuna, we are all learning these scriptures. And so this ragam is common to all of us. That's called attachments. I told last time, what is the difference between attachment and love? Attachment is that what makes you depend on something other than yourself. That's an attachment. It can be a person or an object. Love is what you let others people to depend on you. You don't depend on them. So that's outpouring love, because out of compassion, you let them depend on you until they can grow. So the dependence is required. Your child depends on the parents. So you cannot be independent. You can ask the child to be independent. So the dependence has to be healthy dependence. So what's healthy dependence and what is unhealthy dependence? Healthy dependence is that which makes you independent as you grow. So that is a healthy dependence. If it makes you depend forever, then that's a big problem. So all the child has to depend on the parents until he becomes independent. That is the healthy dependence. Same way, we depend on the teacher until you become independent on your own. So the teacher let you go so that you can propagate that knowledge. So that is a dependent or healthy dependence. Arjuna is having unhealthy dependence, and that manifests in terms of moham and inability to perform action where the action is required. That's why his problem. He knows he has to fight, at the same time he cannot even hold the Gandivam. Gandivam samsasdeha sat. So it's falling down. Why? That shokam has become a physical problem also. A mental problem has become a physical problem. But he could recognize and says, Sishyastoham sadhyamam tvam prapannam. I am surrendering to you. Please teach me what is shreyas for me. What is that which is the highest good for me. And Krishna started his teaching with a big bang, because you are crying where there is no reason for you to cry. I'm going to kill this Guru Hatwani Mahanubhavan. He says, how can I kill these people? He says, you can never kill them. What you kill is only the body. Therefore, there is something other than the body has to be recognized. That's why says asocyan anvasochatvam. Says you are crying where there is no reason to cry, because panditaha na anusochanti. Says panditas don't cry. So why, if the pandita don't cry, why should I care? Because you have to also become a pandita. Pandita means a wise person who knows the absolute truth. He is the wise person. And what is the truth? He himself started teaching. Natve vaham jatunasam natvam nemi janadipaha. So there was never a time I was not there, never a time you are not there, never a time all these things. Therefore, it is not the death of the body. You can never die when the body dies. So who are you? It means you are not the body. Now, in this, we have to learn from our own applications certain things. That's what I mentioned last time. Whenever we are having problems that we think is unsurmountable and we are in trouble, or we are in the shokam, we are getting into the situation of Arjuna, right? So this is not only Arjuna's problem, now we have to apply this Bhagavad Gita to our own lives. So when I discover myself that I am having a problem, you have to stand apart, look at the problem. Is this the attachment causing the problem? Because all problems are due to some kind of attachments. Unhealthy dependence. Problems are always there for everybody, including saints and sages. Everybody will have problems. But problems are there because life itself is full of problems to solve. Then only life becomes a beautiful. Everything is just giving, then it becomes a boring. You need a challenge in life. That becomes a sport, right? A sport is where you get a very good opponent to fight. Even if you lose, you enjoy it. That's what a sport is. So life itself is a sport. Action itself is continuously required. That's what we'll do in the next chapter, the third chapter. But therefore, everybody will have a problem. Problem belongs to the roles, not to you. That's what has to be understood. Because you are not the body. Dehinosmin yada dehe kaumaram yavanam jara. Says, just as the body is changing continuously, in the childhood, body is different. In the adulthood, so continuously there is a changing things, but there has to be a changeless entity in the changing things. And that's what Krishna is pointing out. So whenever I receive the problem, he says, I had problem 10 years ago, so many problems, but if I look back, all those problems are very insignificant. So, by looking at a globally and total field of the problems themselves become insignificant. Even these problems will go away. 3 years or 3 days from now, or 10 days or 10 years from now, these problems have no meaning at all. So, if the problem comes, it has to be a challenge, has to be solved to the degree that I can. Now, that should be an attitude. The second attitude is, not only the problems that come, the problems cannot be solved also. That's a big problem. You have problems, but they cannot be solved problems. So what should I do? What you have to do is face the problem to the best you can. That's a simple solution. Even if you face an opponent is so big, but fight as much as you can. You may lose it, but you give a good fight, right? That's what a sport is. But you enjoy in the play, even though you lost. So attitude should be what? Whatever that prarabdha comes to bring it to me in my life, I face the problems as prasada from the Lord. We'll do Prasada Buddhi in the next chapter, but here I'm just giving you an idea how to face the problems. So when the problems come to everybody. If you can solve it, solve it. If I cannot solve it, recognize that Lord has put me in this situation, face this situation as prasadam of the Lord. Then your attitude will be changed. You will not be reacting, but you will only acting what need to be acted. So that changes the attitude in life itself, and life becomes a beautiful sport, then only. So these are the lessons that we have to adapt from what we have learned so far. Now, in this teaching itself, Krishna is taking us to highest pedestal if we can follow it. That's what I was mentioning to you. Says, this is what is that which is changeless in the changing things? Because everything in this life, as I see, is continuously changing. The body is changing, the mind is changing, the intellect is changing. The whole world is changing, everybody is changing. And what I expected from people keep changing also. They don't meet my expectations to start with. That's my problem also, right? People don't meet my expectations. And that's what I am worried about. Because I have expectations about, my wife should be like, my husband should behave like that. All those dreams that I have, all expectations, nobody will meet. And I have a problem. So the problem is how to adjust myself to the changing situations, recognize there is another changeless entity in the changing things. So if you look at the world, in our experience-wise, there are two things. One is that which continuously changes. That we see. I am changing, the body is changing, everybody is changing. Oh, he has changed so much, or she has changed so much. All these complaints are also because of that, right? So changing is natural. That is what the life is. Continuously evolution. To the higher or lower, depends. But I had to recognize that there is a changeless entity in the changing things. That's what Krishna is trying to point out. So this is an analytical process where I had to look through a changeless entity in the changing things. That's one aspect of it. So there are changeless, and there has to be changeless entity in the changing things. Also, I see in this world two things. One is, I am a conscious entity, and I see so many people who are conscious. They're not unconscious. They're all conscious entities. I'm sure you are all conscious here. So I see a lot of conscious entities. I also see inert entities. Right? Like a table, chair. Thank God they are inert. Otherwise they will complain if you are sitting on them. So they are inert entities. They are conscious entities. This also I see. And now Krishna also says there are eternal entities, there are ephemeral entities. One entity is eternal, which is changeless, and ephemeral, which is continuously changing. So we have three classifications of the same thing, ultimately. A changing things, and whenever something is changing, the law of conservation demands that there has to be a changeless entity. That's what physics tells us, right? Matter keeps continuously changing, but it has to be conserved. Energies can change from one form, but it has to be conserved. But Krishna says, this absolute law of conservation is varied across the board. And that's what we did. Nasato vidyati bhavo, na bhavo vidyati sataha. That which is non-existent cannot come into existence. That which exists can never stop existing. So that which exists has to remain as existence itself. And this we applied because this is the law of conservation. It can transform one to the other, but the essence has to be there all the time. Water can be ice, ice can be water, water can be steam. All those transformations can go on, but the mass is conserved in all this process. That's what the whole balancing equations are. We struggle hard in chemistry class. A plus B is equal to C plus D. We have to balance the whole. Ultimately, balancing is the mass on this side should be equal to mass on the other side. That's what the balancing is. That essential has to remain same, but even the matter keeps changing, but at the same time, the existence cannot change. That's what is the essential truth. So what was that existence? That's what we said. We have to go back to scripture. It says existence alone was there before creation. So what was the world is continuously changing, but what was there before the world came into picture? It's not any names and forms and all that. The scripture is so scientific. It says existence alone was there before creation. Sadeva saumya idamagramasid. And that existence was there before creation as pure existence. And that itself became many, and that is in fact now in the form of many. So that which exists never changes, but it can express itself in many forms. Follow now? Now we have to apply this ultimately. Because everybody is looking for God or Brahman. Where do I look for? Because the scripture is extremely clear. What was there before is existence. And that is the existence itself saw. Sadaikshata. It saw. So seeing is done only by a conscious entity. So that which exists is not only existence, it is of the nature of consciousness. That was there before creation. That itself became many. Bahushyam prada eti. Let me become many, and he himself became many. You can say. Or it itself became many. Now, how do I look for that? No, you have to sit in meditation to look that. This scripture provides you a simple example to understand this. Just as many ornaments came from gold, so there was gold alone before creation. Apply the same thing. There was a gold alone before creation. And it saw, let me become many, and it became many ornaments. Now, a ring wants to know gold. Where is that gold? And then Guru ring comes and tells, so you go to Himalayas and meditate. What? I want to see that gold that pervades every ornament, that because of which I came into being, by which I am sustained, into which I go back, that gold God. What do? Now, you may look at it as an example, apply the same philosophy, same understanding to your own self. Now I want to see God. Where am I going to see God? In the temple? How am I different from ring going to Himalayas to see gold? Not that he's not in the temple. He's in the temple also. If I won't see anything, at least go to temple to see him. But I should be, as a Vedantin now, recognize this problem. He's everywhere. Everything is nothing but him only. Because he said, I myself became many. So I cannot see that pure existence anywhere as existence. I can only see that existence in different forms. Forms keep changing, but there has to be changeless entity in the changing things. Now I had to open my eyes to see clearly, not necessarily changing forms, but the changeless entity in the changing forms. Follow now? That is called Jnana Chakshu, the wisdom eye. I have to open my third eye. That's the third eye of Shiva. Everybody has, but I have to open it. Closing my eyes, I cannot see it. What do he say? Open your eyes. See properly. So just say, this glass exists. Right? Everybody say, this glass exists. But where exactly is the existence? It pervades the whole glass. If existence is not there, glass cannot exist. So existence itself is taking all in the form of a glass. A plastic glass. Same existence here, existence between the glass and that one too. There is an existence. Existence is all pervading. But I cannot recognize pure existence as existence. I can only recognize through my eyes and the mind only the forms and the names, which keeps changing. But I should develop a knack of seeing that which is changeless in the changing things. And that is real meditation. You don't have to go anywhere. You have to see that which is changeless in the changing things. How do I see? It's not, if anything you say in a form, that's not that. Because existence is not a form. Consciousness is not a form to see. It's not an object to see. But that because of which I can see everything in these forms. So I had to uplift my mind to that state of understanding which cannot be expressed any other way. So that's where we left last time. And that, therefore, that which is changeless is there in the body. So, dehinosmin yadha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara. As the body is changing, there has to be changeless entity in the body, in my own body, which is changeless, although the body is changing, the mind is changing, the intellect is changing. And you say, I am. I am means I am a conscious entity and I am existent entity, that I am, but I take myself, I am, these changing things, unfortunately. The forms. Forms are only superficial impositions on top of this. As is, existence is there. Existence expressing in the form, but form is not existence. Keeps changing. It is only transactionally existing. Understood this much? Now let's apply one more statement before we go into the details. Why in this form of glass it has to exist? Because I want to drink water. It's not demonstration also. Because for me to drink water, I need a convenient form to express. So if you ask gold, why are you existing in this kind of rings and all that? You go to gold shop and ask, they say, why did you make this kind of ring? Why don't you make this kind of beautiful ring like than those rings? Because gold is existing in the rightist forms. But why didn't you make in this form? Not in that form? If you ask goldsmith or gold shop fellow, what he will answer? Sir, nobody will buy that kind of ring. You only buy that. Other people all buying those skins, those other rings. What does that mean? There is a demand dictated by which, because he has to sell those particular ornaments. Nobody will buy otherwise. That means what it became into many is dictated by the demand. Who demands? And that's what is essentially our own vasanas are demanding for this kind of creation. I don't like this. If you say, I don't like all these gold rings and all that. Or melt it and make new ones. If nothing is selling, then melt it and make new ones. But on what basis? On the demand basis only. Right? Otherwise, he can't sell. Which means that if I don't like the creation, what should I do? I have to change my vasanas. You have to change your vasanas. He has to change. Everybody changes their vasanas, then different world is created. That's what we are doing here in this. In the Bhagavad Gita class and all, we are changing our vasanas to something higher. And environment will be created. For those who want to have classes, environment will be created when there is a demand. When there is no demand, then the teacher is useless. Right? So it depends upon our vasanas. Lord himself provides the proper environment. That's his duty. So if I change it, automatically my world will change around me. So these are teachings to us. So we cannot complain now, from now on. Whenever we are in trouble, whenever we think we have a problem, we have to stand apart, look at the problem. He says there must be some attachment coming here causing this problem. Otherwise, it will be sport. You don't call playing cricket is a problem. You enjoy. The life becomes a full enjoyment only if you know how to play. The play becomes a problem only when the roles of the problem becomes your problem. So I have to stand apart. These are the problems of the roles. I'm an actor playing this role. Let me play beautifully that role. If I may be a beggar role, but I'm a millionaire, I become more millionaire because of this role. I can play beautifully with the background music also, right? I can do that. That knowledge comes only if I can stand apart, look at the problem, and the problem becomes only a situation that I have to play in the life itself. So life can become beautiful provided I know how to play. I will know how to play. I detach myself and look at the problem in a correct perspective. That's the teaching of Krishna here. He wants Arjuna to stand apart and look at this is what is this. You can never die because of killing the body, because you are not the body. You are a changeless entity in the changing things. So how to know this truth? So let's do Sloka 25 in second chapter. Avyaktoyam achinchoyam Vyaktoyam achinchoyam Avikaryoyam uchyate Yoyam uchyate Tasmadevam viditvainam Nanusochitum arhasi. Together. Avyaktoyam achinchoyam Avikaryoyam uchyate Tasmadevam viditvainam Nanusochitum arhasi. So how am I going to know this? Says you cannot know. Avyaktam, it is not expressible, and this is the truth. Cannot be said like that. Unmanifested. Avyaktam is unmanifested. I am this. Achintyam. Okay, let me see if I can think about it. You cannot think about it. And avikaryam. It is unmodifiable. It cannot go any change. It means it's a changeless entity. And avyaktoyam avikaryam uchyate tasmat evam viditvainam. That's how one has to know it. Therefore, knowing that, na anusochanti, there is no reason for you to cry. So if I know this truth, then there is no reason. Why am I having problem? I think I am having a problem because of the role that I am playing, right? First, recognize I am avikaram. I cannot undergo any transformation, any change itself. The situations come and situations go, but I had to stand apart and look at the situation in a correct perspective. And that I am. What is that I am? It is avyaktam. It cannot be manifesting. This is me, I cannot say. So I had to understand with using the mind. At the same time, it is not, can be thought of. So how do you unravel this sloka? It cannot be known, it cannot be seen, but at the same time, you have to know it. Okay? If we understand this, then the whole Gita becomes clear. Otherwise, we can keep going Gita many times. So how do I know anything? That's a question we raise. How do I know anything? How do you know there is a glass here? Oh, I can see. Right? So I can see, therefore it is. A glass is there because I can see. Now you see glass here, I'm holding. Say, no, I cannot see. Why? You say there is no glass there because you cannot see. So, existence of an object is established by my seeing it right now, by perception. There is a glass here because I can see. There is no glass here because I cannot see. So knowledge of an object is known through perceptual process. Is all we know, right? Or I can infer the existence of the glass or existence of something which I cannot see, but based on what I see, I can infer. This is all called anumana pramana, where I can infer there is a fire there because I am seeing smoke. Not that I am not seeing fire. If I am seeing fire, then I don't need a logic. I am using logic because I am only seeing smoke and say there must be fire there because without the fire there cannot be any smoke. So how do you know? That's my past experience. That I have seen. I have seen in the past. It used to be in the kitchen. It used to be olden days. They used to use firewood and there is a lot of smoke all over. So whenever there is a fire, there is always a smoke. So when there is a smoke, other way around. Whenever there is smoke, there is always a fire that is causing. Therefore, whenever I see smoke, I know that in the past I have established a relation between the smoke and the fire. Therefore, I can deduce that there must be a fire there. It's called anumana pramana. Logic. All science, everything is based on this logic. I see something, I deduce there is something causing the problem, which I don't see. That's what your experiments are. But now show me, logically can I prove that I am there? So this is where one has to be very careful here. I can logically say that I am there, but I don't need a logic to say that I am there. Why? Because when you are in a pitch dark room, I say, are you there? What don't you say? I cannot see anything. I don't know whether I'm here or not. You cannot say that. I think I'm hearing you, therefore I must be here somewhere. It's not logic. You know I am there. Why? Because my existence, that I am a conscious entity and I am an existent entity, I don't need any means of knowledge to know. You follow now? No pramana is required. Pramana is means of knowledge, is required to know that I am there as an existent and I am conscious. Because I am conscious only, all these pramanas are operating. Right? You cannot teach unconscious entity, you know how you are able to see. Say, I cannot even see. So you cannot talk about this. Only for a conscious entity, all this. So existent consciousness that I am, I don't need any means of knowledge. But I am this is a problem there. You remember I told you, there are conscious entities, there are unconscious entities. They're completely different, right? Chair is unconscious entity, and we are all conscious entities. That's what we think. But this knowledge that falls down when we apply to our own body. I am conscious entity, body is inert matter. Just carbohydrates, minerals and all that assembled in some form. But when I say I am this body, I am plus this is I am is being expressed as Vyaktam. Vyaktam is a manifestation. Yes, is Avyaktoyam. It is unmanifested. It is not expressible in any form. So whatever form that you see cannot be you. You know that you exist. You know that you are conscious, but you do not know what that existent I am and what existent consciousness that I am. You take yourself, I am the body. Nobody taught you, but you take yourself, I am the body. That's why people will go, nobody will ask question, do you know who I am? I don't know who I am. Please can you tell me who I am? They will put me in the hospital, right? Mental hospital. They think everybody knows they are, who they are. And people talk, who I am, and give pages and pages of their glories. I am this, I am that, and I am the owner of this big mansion and all that. I am because all this that I have. That's all biodata is, right? I am this, I am that, I am this, I am this. But just now I said, I am is conscious entity. This is unconscious entity. There is a problem in direct there, right there. If we recognize that problem, you have solved the problem. Because whole life we are going through without knowing who that I am is. So I am is a subject and anything is object. I cannot be an object. I cannot say I am this. Who is saying I am? I had to be there to say even this separate from me. So any this cannot be me. So I am is self-existing, self-proven. I don't need any scriptures to tell me, hey, you exist. It doesn't have to tell me. It doesn't have to tell me you are a conscious entity. I don't need scriptures to tell me. I don't need a Bhagavad Gita class for that, right? To tell me that I exist and I am a conscious entity. Then why is this Bhagavad Gita for? It tells you are Ananda Swarupa also. That's only one. It doesn't. Why? We are looking for it all the time. All the rat race is what? I want that for me to be happy. I want this for me to be happy. So I am going after this. What I am going after? Happiness. And where is that happiness? Remember I told you? It's not in the coffee. The more coffee, more happiness should be. It's not there. So where is that happiness? And scripture tells you are happy also. If I am happy, why am I looking for it? Don't tell me I am happy, but then why should I look for? That's your problem. You do not know that you are happy. And that's why Gita Upadesha has to come. Now here, we are going in different levels of understanding here. It is unmanifested. At the same time, I cannot recognize unmanifested. I had to recognize the unmanifested through the manifestations. So just as existence is unmanifest, it's not any particular form, but through every form it is expressing itself. So I had to use every form to see the formless in the form. I see every conscious entity, everyone is there, conscious entity. The consciousness is there, but consciousness is not an object. But I had to see in and through the presence of the consciousness in everybody. But what about unconscious entity? Is the Lord there too? The Lord is there in the glass? Look at our glory of our religion. We pray Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna in the temple, even though we know it is an idol. Right? It's an unconscious entity there. Yet, we put prostration and put namaskaram to it because we are invoking the presence of the Lord in that idol, the ideal behind the idol. For us, it's no more an idol. Once we have a Kumbhabhishekam, it's no more an idol there. Until then, it's an idol. Even the sculptor is hitting that one. But once Kumbhabhishekam, he doesn't even touch. He cannot come even. Once you open the eyes during Kumbhabhishekam, after that he himself prostrates. Now, what exactly is this? Now we have to understand, we understand Lord is pervading everywhere. Even in the inert forms also, Lord is pervading. But you said, sir, Lord is a conscious entity. Lord cannot be unconscious entity. How can the table be Lord? How can the chair will be Lord? How can that be Lord? Conscious entity I can see, okay, Lord is there, because conscious is there. But inert things? Hey, you are idol worshippers, thinking on Lord here, Lord in India, even the mile post also people put kumkum and all that and put namaskaram. They could say, oh, they are all superstitious. No. See the knowledge, they can see the Lord even in that also. In the mouse also we are able to see the Lord. That's what Ganesha is, right? All the animals are vahanas for the Lord. That's the glory of our religion, if you really understand it. Now, how exactly this process is, that has to be understood. And that's what Krishna is going to tell in the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, in this chapter itself. But give you idea what exactly, how inert things I can see the Lord is first, I'd say, existence alone was there before it itself became anything. So everything has to exist because existence has to pervade it. But existence itself doesn't seem to be a conscious entity here. I don't see conscious entity in this glass or in the chair, in the carpet, in the garbage. Now, how exactly this has to be transformed? I'll give you a simple example now. Existence of an object cannot be established without the knowledge of its existence. Follow that example. Existence of an object cannot be established without having the knowledge of its existence. How does it mean? Existence of the glass cannot be established unless I have the knowledge that by knowledge it exists, by seeing it. By seeing it, I can see, therefore it exists, I have a knowledge. So, nama and the rupa go together. Nama means knowing it, naming it is knowing it. So it is, whole world is nama rupa, they call it. Rupa is attributes. I can go into too detail, but I want to grasp this essential because it's extremely scientific here. If you really understand it, then you understand the whole crux of the problem. I cannot establish the existence of an object unless I have the knowledge of its existence. And the knowledge of its existence comes through pramanas. Pramana means through perceptual process or through inference and so on and so forth. There are means of knowledge to know. Once I know it is there. That's clear? Now, let's go to how does that knowledge of existence happens? That's the second question. You say, how does, I can see. That's what you say, right? How exactly you see? Wow, through my eyes. Very simple answer. But do you really see glass? You're all seeing glass, right? But do you really see the glass? Think about it. There are two things here. If it's a pitch dark, when I lift my glass and say, can you see the glass? He says, I cannot see you. How can I see glass? You cannot see the glass, even though I'm holding it. Now, as soon as the lights turned on, you say, I am seeing the glass. Right? Now what happened before? Oh, there was no light. Number one, I need a light to see glass. Because glass is not self-luminous. If it's already light, I don't have to say, hey, turn the light on so that I can see this light. I don't need that. Because this is not self-luminous, you need another light to shine on it. Right? It's simple. So, number one, I need a light to illumine the object so that I can see. That's clear? Now, so why are you seeing the glass now? Because the light is falling on it. All right? Everybody agrees. I hope. Now, I'll ask question. Are you really seeing the glass? Think about it. Those who attended my class before, they know it, but what you're seeing is light falling on it, getting reflected by the glass, and the reflected light is coming to your eyes, and through your retina is forming an image on your retina, and you say, I see the glass. Isn't it? You cannot see what's behind this. You can only see the frontal projection. Why? The light falling on the behind is not coming to you. It's so simple. So what you are seeing now is not the glass. What you are seeing is light reflected by the glass that is reaching your retina, forming an image in your retina, which is transmitted through your nerve system as an image, and say there is a glass out there because there is an image in your mind. Right? People see all sorts of things which are not there. That's a separate problem. That's hallucinations. Now, is it really glass? What I'm seeing is only image. Right? To ensure that this glass is real, I'm drinking water. Because through image glass, I cannot drink water. Imagine, each one is important. Because I am transacting in the process, and because of transaction, I can establish the reality of what I see. You follow now? Via transactions only, I can establish that what I see is what is there. That's called a vyavaharika satyam, transactional reality. The whole world that I see during the waking state is called a vyavaharika satyam. Okay? Understood up to this? Now we'll go to the next step. When I say there is a glass, there is an image when I am seeing it. Remember, glass is here, light is reflected, it is forming an image, and image is called a thought in my mind. That's called a vritti. Okay? So, a thought in my mind about the object that I see. So what are the contents of the thought? The contents of the thought are attributes of the object. The form, because the light reflected, and the form is the one that you are seeing. If it is a sound in the next room I am hearing, it's not the form. But I am hearing the sound, from that an image is formed. Hey, somebody is there in the other room. If I can recognize the voice, I can even say, he is there. So all five senses are gathering the attributes of the object, the sabda, sparsa, rupa, rasa, gandha, all the five attributes, not the object, attributes of the object, and forming an image in my mind. So what is the contents of the thought? Thought of a glass is that form with particular shape of the form, color and form. It's a blue color. The blue color is also reflected, and blue color and the form is reflected as an image in your mind, as a thought. So contents of the thought is attributes of the object, form. Form includes all the, form is rupa. Rupa includes rupa, rasa, gandha, all those things. All five sense input. That's all I can see through the world. Clear? Each one is specific. Now, how do I know there is a thought? Thought is formed in my mind. But how do I know that? How do you know the glass? Because light is getting reflected. Without the light, you cannot see. Right? In the same way, the light of consciousness falling on the thought, getting reflected by the thought, and you say, I know the thought. You follow? Exactly identical process. Instead of regular light, it is the light of consciousness that is beaming through on the thought, getting reflected, and reflected light is recognized by the mind as there is a thought. So you know the thought. Now you see, how do I know there is a glass here? Go back all the process now. First, light is getting reflected by the glass. Image is forming as a thought. Now, consciousness is falling on the thought, getting reflected, and that is the knowledge of the thought. All clear now? Now, when I say, this is a glass, you are not really seeing the glass. You are seeing only reflected light. Right? But you say there is a glass there. Because light by itself doesn't get reflected otherwise. Follow now? I need a glass so that the light that falls on the glass getting reflected by the glass so that my retina can recognize that light, forming an image as a thought, and then I can see that. Now, I said two things if you follow. Number one, I need a light to see the glass. Without light, I cannot see. Now, the second thing is, I need the glass to recognize the light. This is very important now. Because without the glass, that is there, light is there. Glass is not bringing any light. Light is still there. If I remove it, you cannot see the light there. So number one, I need light to see the glass. Now I need a glass to recognize the presence of the light there. Follow? Now apply the same thing to the thought. Light of consciousness is all pervading all the time. But I need a thought to recognize the presence of the light. Follow? That is meditation. Now, what's meditation? Are you seeing this glass now? Can you stop looking at the glass and recognize only the light as the glass is reflecting? It's not the glass. It's that because of which the glass is seen. Because without that, you cannot see the glass. At the same time, I need a glass to recognize the presence of the light. You follow? So meditation is not this, not this, not this, but because of which this is known. In the same way, we are paying attention to the contents of the thought, But it's not the thought contents, but that because of which thought is reflecting the light of consciousness, because of which I'm conscious of the thought. So meditation is not the absence of thoughts. I cannot recognize it because absence of glass, I cannot see the light there. I need the thought, but I should not get carried away with the thought. What should I do? I had to see, not paying attention to the thought, but that because of which thought is known. Every thought is nothing but just attributes of the object that I am seeing. Because glass is here, but thought is in your mind. Only when the thought is in your mind, you can say glass is out there. Otherwise, you cannot say glass is out there. So how do you know glass is out there? I can see, but what you are saying is only thought. And you are deducing that there is a glass there. Now, how do you know there is an inert world here? You remember we said there are two things, conscious entity and inert entity. How do you know this inert entity? Because I can see, I can transact. I am living every day with this world. Now go back. What exactly are you seeing? Because I can see means I know this world, I know this one, I know that one, I know all knowledge has to take place. Pratibodha viditam matam. The Upanishad says, in every knowledge that takes place in the mind, consciousness has to be there. Beaming through, reflecting in every knowledge. Whether it's a knowledge of garbage or knowledge of the God or knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of any junk also. Consciousness has to be there as revealing factor of whatever the contents of that. If we pay attention to the contents, we get lost with the light. We don't see the light. We are paying, oh, that's a glass, that's a chair, this is a table. But it's a light, it's a light, it's light, it's light only. Light is only you are seeing all the time. So in every object that I am seeing in this room, I am seeing only light. Right? Reflected through that. In the same way, every thought, everything that rises in my mind is nothing but consciousness getting reflected all the time. So it is achintyam, it cannot be thought of as not an object here, but it is because of which thoughts themselves are rising and thoughts themselves are reflecting. That is what is essentially avyaktoyam, achintyoyam. It cannot be thought of as an object itself. It's not the thought contents because of which I am able to think also. It's that conscious. And because only conscious entity can think. Yan manasa na manute enahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam viddhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which mind cannot think of. It's not an object to think of. This is God, that is God, this is God. All concepts are gone. So yan manasa na manute, that cannot be thought of as this is God. That enahur manomatam, because of which mind is able to think of. No, that alone is Brahman. The capacity to think and capacity to see in the mind is because of the presence of that consciousness everywhere. So, from now on, your meditation should be different. After this class at least. Okay? Since when I am transacting the world, it is difficult for me to look back what is the light of consciousness that is reflecting. This fellow is talking, but because of the light of consciousness only I am able to hear, I am able to see. If you will switch off your mind, right? It's difficult. At least in the beginning, sit in the seat of meditation and see the thoughts that are raising in your mind. Instead of any thoughts, think of the Lord thought only, but switch your attention from the thought that because of which thoughts are raised. Until it becomes a habit for you to see even outside also. When you are walking, when you are not seriously working, think of this knowledge and see as you are looking through, that's a light of consciousness that is beaming through in all. That becomes a meditation. Okay? Now from tomorrow onwards, or today night onwards, this should be an exercise as a part in which I had to see the Lord. Where do you see the Lord? Everywhere you see is the expression of the Lord. I need those forms, but it's not the form that because of which I can see the form. That because of which I am able to reflect the light of consciousness beaming through. All the processes are given now. The form is forming an image, but image is a thought, but the thought is reflected. And therefore, it is not something, but something to know. It's not objectified, but at the same time the subject you are. And Krishna is emphasizing here essentially, it's avikaram uchyate, tasmat evam viditvayanam. Knowing this, that I am that unchanging entity, there is no reason for you to cry at all. Because you are only identifying with the changing things, with the thought contents. But that because of which even thought exists also. So if you really know the beauty of this, Krishna himself, Ascharyavat, this is 29, Ascharyavat pasyati kaschidenam. You can repeat that. This is, we are in Gita 29. Everybody in meditation looks like. Okay. Ascharyavat pasyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha. Ascharya-vaschainamanya shrunoti srutva-pyenam veda nachaiva kaschit. Together. Ascharyavat pasyati kaschidenam. Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha. Ascharya-vaschainamanya shrunoti Srutva-pyenam veda nachaiva kaschid. It's a wonder of all wonders, as you see right now. That is me, and that's the Lord. Even to listen to this Ascharya, it's really wonder if you really understand it. The life becomes really wonderful. If you understand it and apply it, you see the beauty of life pulsating everywhere. Ascharyavat, even talking about it is wonder. Wonder is beyond intellectual comprehension. It's not something the intellect can analyze it. Because even the intellect is nothing but the thoughts, but I can see the intellect functioning. That light of consciousness is expressed in every form and every name also. In everything that I see is there. Because I am seeing and I am knowing. Knowing principle has to come into picture. Ascharya-vaschainam anyasrunoti. If you listen to others talking about it is wonder. But srutva-pyenam veda nachaiva kaschitu. Even after listening, people don't apply it. So last statement should not be applicable for us, right? From now on, we have to apply this to see what exactly Krishna is trying to point us to us. That's Krishna, real Krishna. Because the scripture says that in fact is that not you worship here. Tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That what you worship is not that. That think of it because of which I can see. Yat chakshura na pasyati ena chakshumse pasyati tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which eyes cannot see as a form, but because of which eyes can see. So I had to see in and through what I see. That becomes a knowledge. And the whole Gita teaching itself, the highest philosophy brought in there to Arjuna and to us also in the process. Now, this is meaningful to us. Otherwise, we also will be crying like Arjuna. So for us, from now on, there is no reason for us to cry. Why? We are that light of consciousness. Existence of an object is established by the knowledge of existence. When I said I can see. Chair doesn't say I am there. I have to say chair is there. Because I have to see. So I had to be there before the existence of the chair can be established. Right? So there's a God particle. Somebody said God particle was discovered. But before the God particle discovered, there has to be God to discover it. A conscious entity has to be there to discover the inert entity. God particle is another inert entity. How can that be God particle? A conscious entity can only discover, but the consciousness entity, Udayati, Astameti, it cannot have a beginning or end. It is eternally present. And that is I am. And therefore, recognize all other things are all gada business, meaningless if you really understand it correctly. This is the highest Vedanta. It talks about you are that consciousness and that cannot be objectified, achintyam, it's avyaktam, it cannot be manifested as this is consciousness. Because when you say this is consciousness, so that becomes inert. Now what I said is, inert things cannot be there unless conscious entity is to say the inert thing is there. Right? Now, one more statement I make is, existence of the object that you see through perceptual process is complete only when the thought that is raising in the mind. Now look at the whole process. There's a chair. There is a chair exists. So existence is expressed as a chair there. Right? Now when I see forming an image in my mind, now same existence which is all pervading is expressing as the chair image in my mind. Follow? The existence of a chair out there has become existence as though has become existence as image of the chair as a thought. So thought is. Thought means thought exists. So existence is expressed now, not as a chair out there, but a thought in my mind. But thought in my mind becomes knowledge only. The consciousness that I am, the existence of a thought are becoming one for me to be conscious of the existence of the thought. It's a little bit mind-blowing, but you have to think. Existence of a chair has become existence of a thought. But that itself is not sufficient. Consciousness has to join with the existence together to be so that I am conscious of the existence of the thought in my mind, which is the chair outside. All clear? This is all essence of whole Gita. Everything is this. This is basics. Once you understand, you can also give talks about what exists. Because this is the essence of truth itself. It's all Vedanta. If I tell everything tomorrow, next week, you may not come. So we have to understand and apply this. When you apply it, then you see the beauty expressing everywhere. Because every thought is nothing but the expression of the existence, Lord, and consciousness of His is joining together and say, I am conscious of existence of the whole world. Without me establishing the existence of the world cannot be established. When I go to deep sleep state, where is the world? But I am there, I slept very well. So consciousness has to be pre-existing even to establish the inert things also. Okay? So inert things is indeterminate problem. If I go to deep sleep state, is there a world there? These are questions are asked. Is there a world there when you go to deep sleep? Yes, there is a world there. We were all doing, and you were sleeping, we were all there. How do you know you were there? Oh, we can take a movie and show you. But for that, I had to get up. That means I had to be conscious of your existence also. Without me, you cannot prove anything. I had to be awake for me to apply through my mind to see what you are doing or what you did. That means without me, your existence cannot be established also. So consciousness, existence are becoming one in that knowledge of it itself. Without the knowledge, inner things cannot be established. So without the consciousness present, inner things cannot be established. That's what I'm saying. Now, this knowledge becomes, you're all Vedantins anyway, this knowledge doesn't remain with you after the class. Even though I told you to do exercise and all that, it is difficult to retain because you're getting lost in the transactions. I understood, so beautiful, its lecture was so beautiful, logical, look at how you will say. But how do I apply this? To what extent I apply this? It does not retain your mind because the mind is not purified. That's where the problem is. It's not the problem with the knowledge. You understood. But understanding doesn't manifest in the application. Where is the gap? Krishna understood the gap. And he wants to teach the problem is the mind is not prepared. So how do you prepare? Because you're still transacting in the world. So first, transact in the world properly. Understand the transactions clearly. And that's what is called Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga comes into picture as a preparatory for the mind so that this knowledge sinks in deeply into me. Now you ask yourself, can I keep the knowledge? How much this knowledge is coming to me in my day-to-day operations? It's not coming because of this problem, preparation of the mind. So what should I do in order to prepare so that the knowledge that I am gaining in the class becomes internalized? And that's what is the Karma Yoga part that Krishna teaches, and we will go through that. But if you understand this Karma Yoga properly, then you see how beautifully the scientific analysis as Krishna presents it. At the same time, you understand the implications and application of that also in our day-to-day life. Because in spite of all this knowledge, we are living in the world. We cannot but transact in the world. So transactions should go on, but how should I transact with the knowledge behind? Also has to be understood. So we go, and Krishna, as a good teacher, he says, even if you know a little bit of this, it will help you a lot. So he's really boasting as a propagandist. Says essentially, says, Swalpam apyasya, even if a little bit of this knowledge of Karma Yoga will help in preparing yourself. So what exactly is Karma Yoga? We'll take it up now. Karman, this is a 47. Karmanyevadhikaraste vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu Mati sangostva karmani. Together. Karmanyevadhikarasti ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu mati sangostva karmani. So karmani eva adhikaraste. So you have only right in performing an action. That's what simple translation is. Adhikaram is mostly right. Ma phaleshu kadachana, not on the results. Everybody quotes this sloka, right? We all learned many times. It says karmani, but the correct interpretation is karmani eva adhikaraste. You have choice in performing an action only. At any time, as a human being, you have a choice in performing an action. You have several choices. People complain, I don't have any choice, I have to do this. No, you have a choice. Kartum sakyam, akartyum sakyam, anyadha kartum sakyam. There are three choices all the time. To do, not to do, or to do it another way. Those are the three choices. So not to do is also a choice of action, not inaction. Even for not doing it, you are responsible for it. When you are supposed to do it and not do it, then if you don't study and then if you fail it, that means you are responsible for not doing it, right? So is also not doing is also you are accountable. So you have to do, you have choice. So you have only choice in the action. Ma paleshu, not on the results. So if I have, suppose it's a stone, I have a stone in my hand. So I have a choice. What choice I have? I can throw this side, I can throw that side, I can this side, I can go back, or I can throw up. That choice I have. Right? That's my choice anyway, or I can keep it like that. So whatever I choose to do is my choice. But once the choice action is performed, once I throw it, I may aim it, I want to hit so that Krishna is sitting there, I want to hit this stone. Not that I want to hit him, but I want to throw the stone all the way there. So that choice of an action is mine, but whether the stone will go and hit him is not my choice. Once it is left my hand, it is dictated, the trajectory is dictated by the laws of nature that I have no control on. Right? It's dictated by the laws of friction and the laws of gravitational force, and all those things will determine the path of that stone. Oh, gravitational force, please reduce yourself a little bit so that it can go all the way there. Nothing happened. These are all laws. I am not the author of those laws. I cannot change the gravitational force suddenly so that it lands wherever I want. So I have no control on the results of the action because he is the karma paladata. The laws that governs the action, results of the action, is determined by the laws beyond my control. He is called karma paladata. Lord is called karma paladata. That's why. What should I do then? I understand the laws, his laws, and apply properly so that the class goes and hits Mr. Krishnan. So I had to do my intelligent work to know those laws properly and use the knowledge, and intelligently I had to apply the action in executing the action. Therefore, you understood why I don't have the choice in the results. I only have a choice in the action. That's a simple explanation. Another explanation is, I can only act in the present. Past, gone. Future hasn't come. Only present I can act. I can sit down and regret about my past actions. That's a separate. I can brood, oh, I should have done this, I could have done this, I would have done it, all those would have, could have, should have. Sitting here in the present, thinking about past. Or I can play in future, I'm going to do here, and all those future plans I can think of, but thinking is in the present. That is action in the present. I can only act in the present. Results always come after the action. That's the law. Results don't come before the action. Results will come always after the action. So I can only act in the present. Results follow the action, that is always future to the action, and I have no control on the future. Ma paleshu kadachana. So clear? It's a corollary. I can only live in the present. I can only act in the present. But unfortunately, none of us live in the present or act in the present properly. Why? If you go yourself, anytime, try to freeze your mind, either thinking of the past or thinking of the future. Anytime you just experiment it, today on, experiment as you are walking through, say, what do you think? Oh, I have to go to this place, I have to go to that place, I have to go this place, or, oh, I didn't do this properly, I did that one, I don't know what he is thinking going to do, if I did that, or all about past or about future. We don't live in the present, but present alone is given in a silver plate for us to live. True? Think. One more news for you. Before in 2 more minutes, I will have one more news. What's the present? Present is where past is meeting future. Isn't it? A line where past is meeting the future. Now, how big is the present? A second, day, today. So we say today is present, right? So to this hour, this minute, this second is present. Because past second is already past. Future second hasn't come yet. Go keep dividing the second. Microsecond, that is present. Because previous microsecond is gone. The future microsecond hasn't come. Nanosecond, if you're a scientist. Nanosecond, it's becoming thinner and thinner and thinner, disappearing. It's mind-boggling. That's crazy. Acharya paschati gacchadena. Even you listening to this is impossible. We live only in the present, but present is disappearing. What is there is the one who is dividing. Right? Well, who is dividing this second into microsecond, picosecond, all that, he is independent of this, he is dividing it. Only my presence is there, no present there. This is the biggest truth. Unfortunately, that's the biggest truth. Past is gone, future hasn't come, present itself disappeared. What is there is my presence. That's why the whole life is mithya. And we are asocyan, and yes, so you are crying where there is no reason for you to cry. If you understand these facts of life and the whole drama of life, its beauty really comes out. And before I go one more second, then what is the purpose of life itself? We should know. There is no past, there is no future, there is no present itself. I am only present. What does it mean? What should I do? Any action at all? Beauty of life is expressing in that present the most beautiful way, whatever you can express. In whatever way you can express. That's the beauty. A flower, a rose flower, beautifully expresses you. It arrests your mind. Say, what a beauty. Now, how do you define that beauty? All mantras will come up, but you cannot say what it exactly it is. That ness is itself is arresting of the mind is the beauty itself. But flower naturally expresses. But for a human being, we make, because God has given intelligence, but rose can only be rose. It cannot become a lily flower. It can express only as a rose, beautiful flower. But I, as a human being, as an intelligence, I can express beautifully in whatever capacity I am given, or I can cultivate, or I can develop. Through my efforts, through my intelligent approach, and beautify my life so that the generations can wonder about it. What a beautiful life it is. That is the purpose of life. And that is the expression of Lord Himself. Pashyami says, this Yoga Vaishwaram, look at my beauty everywhere, look at my glory everywhere. This is all my glory, Arjuna. He can express through you only when you expresses with your intelligence the whole, because Lord is nothing but everybody, because I myself became many. With that, we will start. So we have few exercises that you have to do it until next week. So start meditating the way I have discussed. It becomes a Vedantic meditation now. Okay? Let's do. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Sishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Next time try to come 5 minutes early a little bit so that we don't have disturbance coming up. The class should start on time. And everybody should be there in the class before time.